Let us open our lodge.
Brothers, some have been found who are willing to spend themselves in serving others. Yet they have not felt the fire. They have not heard the admonition. They have not seen the arrow. They must be willing to go upon a journey, and it is only right for us to stand by them through their ordeals until they enter into the bond of brotherhood.
Each one who comes to us must find us ever cheerful, thrifty, brave, and clean. I will remind us of our duty to keep ourselves physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight. I will guard the entrance and open the way to those who are ready.
Each one who comes to us must find us ever helpful, friendly, courteous, and kind. I will remind us of our duty to help other people at all times. I will guide them, and I will answer for them.
Each one who comes to us must find us ever trustworthy, loyal, obedient, and reverent. I will remind us of our duty to God and country. If these virtues glow brightly in our hearts, the fire cannot fail to be kindled in theirs. Brothers, we are ready.
National Whitewater champion Chris Davidson in singing our national anthem. And please remain standing as 13-year-old Jace Hester leads us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Will you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. 2.
The culture and civilization of the white man are essentially material. His measure for success is, how much property have I acquired for myself? The culture of the Indian is fundamentally spiritual. His measure of success is, how much service have I rendered to my people? His mode of life, his thought, and his every act are given spiritual significance, approached and colored with complete realization of the spiritual world.
The Indian went directly to the Great Spirit and worshipped him, who was invincible. And seeing him by faith, the Great Spirit has planted a similar spirit in his creatures, that there might be communion between the two.
The poor, the sick, the aged, the widows, the orphans, they were looked after in the tribe. When camp was moved, it was taken care of. The widow's lodge was moved first. After a hunt, a piece of meat was laid at the doorstep of those who needed it most.
As our common paths return us to our work, our schools, and our families, test yourselves and realize that our experiences, our Indian summer, was more than just bells and feathers, but a true renewal of our experiences with our heritage, our history, and our love for one another.
I, Nuteket, am the guardian of this circle, and I urge you, seek the fire at the center. Kindle cheerfulness within you. Gather round your hearts the tinder. Lay the oak and pine together. Kindle all that is within you with a warm and cheerful spirit. The spark is there, already glowing. Fan it now, forgetting hunger. Feed it until it is a fire. So tomorrow, eat you nothing but the scant food you will be given. So tomorrow, learn by fasting, sacrifice, and self-denial to subordinate desires to the Spirit's higher purpose. Test yourselves, and so discover that a cheerful heart is as lively as this bowwood under hardship.
From the moment that man was conceived of a perfect body, flexible, dependable, he laid the foundation of a perfect and moral life. A man, after adolescence, cannot maintain his body unless he is able to curb his indulgence for the pleasures of life.
Upon the truth, the Indians built a rigid system of physical training, a moral code of life. Young men would achieve more self-denial to become part of their ancestors.
The Indian Code states that the first duty of every man should be the full maturity of his body. To reach adulthood in mind and body, in spirit and in service, he must be a kind and friendly neighbor, a good family man, and a brave protector.
That reminds me of the legend that Mateo revealed to us.
A boy was groomed from childhood to be a defender of his band and tribe. The coup stick was used as an award system to honor those who fulfilled their call as a warrior and defender of the tribe. The proudest day in a brave's life was when he received his first coup. Also, each coup of bravery in battle was ranked, graded, and recognized publicly. This award was then carried into battle to show how great and seasoned the warrior was. It took much courage to attack a ferocious and battle-tested warrior with many coups. The warrior with the most coups was considered to have powerful personal medicine.
At Indian Summer, this week we have incorporated these coup sticks into our nightly clan gatherings. Each one of your clans have made a coup stick, and it serves as a representation of your clan's shared experience throughout this conference. 15 coup sticks have been selected upon decoration, creativity, representation of each clan member, and the all-around embodiment of the clan's experiences here this week.
This evening, we have asked some of these 15 coup stick holders to come forward and share with us their ideas about our order. Their thoughts will range from servant leadership to cheerful spirit and much more. I hope you have had a chance to reflect on some of these principles just as I have. Now, the chief of the Hawk clan of the Choctaw tribe will come forward to share his clan's thoughts and reflections.
The opening sentence to the Order of the Arrow obligation affirms our dedication and intentions as to why we are here. Shortly after taking the obligation, you partook in a feast and fellowship, then retired for the evening. During those few minutes before slumber, you first thought, I am now a member of this organization. Why am I here? What can I do for my troop? Then you realize that the Order of the Arrow symbolizes the high places within you, showing clearly your reflection. You had not been jaded by your peers or other candidates. Although unbeknownst, you were sent upon a gracious errand to lead your peers and your troop by example. We as Arrowmen have a duty to help others succeed, even if it means setting your own interests aside. I challenge each of you to test yourselves and so discover. The Order of the Arrow is truly a thing of the Spirit. Goodman envisioned a brotherhood illuminated by friendship and scouting's virtues. Remember why you are here when you travel back to your lodges. Find in yourself Wimachtendink, Wingalaushik, Wittahimaway, for it is all that we share with one another.
The first Ambier retreat marked the first attainment of a man's full maturity. Listen to the words of an aged chieftain describing this event. Having first prepared himself by means of a purifying vapor bath and cast off all humanly or fleshy influences, that your man sought out the noblest height, the most commanding summit in the surrounding region. Know that the Great Spirit sets no value upon material things. He took with him no offerings or sacrifices other than symbolic objects, such as paints and tobacco. Wishing to appear in all humility, he wore only his moccasins and breechcloth. At the solemn hour of sunrise or sunset, he took up his position, overlooking the glories of earth and facing the great mystery. And there he remained silent, motionless, exposed to the elements and forces of his arming. For a night and day, or 2 nights and days, rarely longer. In this way, the Indian found his highest happiness and the motive and power of his existence.
Now I would like to ask the chief of the Comanche tribe to present his thoughts.
Unselfish service, servant leadership, brotherhood, and cheerful spirit are the founding principles that are presented to us on the night of our pre-ordeal. We will each present a challenge to assist you in this quest. These challenges are like the arrows we wear. We must seek to understand the never deviating path that we are on. When we encounter a new test, we must strive to fulfill our obligation and our purpose. Once you have completed these, you will fully understand this. For, said he, who serves his fellow is of all his fellows greatest. We came as strangers, we became friends, we part as brothers. May the spirit of 2003 be with you forever.
Therefore, from this moment onward, till you take the obligation, strictly keep a pledge of silence. Hours spent in thoughtful silence help us make the right decision, more than days and days of talking. Help us feel the cords of sunlight tying all the world together. Soon you will be bound as brothers in this great and honored order, but only if you are determined to fulfill its obligations out of love for one another. Till then, let silence, like a bowstring, bind you each to every other, closer when the bow is tested.
The Pledge of Silence isn't something you hear about very often.
I'd give my right arm if my girlfriend ever learned that.
If you ask an Indian, what is silence? He will tell you. It is the great mystery. If you ask an Indian, what are the fruits of silence? He will tell you. Truth, endurance, and self-confidence. Silence is the cornerstone of character.
The old Chief Wabasha said, "Guard your tongue in youth, and in age you will learn a thought that will be of service to your people."
The ideals of the arrow are imperative for our order. Among these is servant leadership. An airman who leads his fellow scouters with a cheerful spirit and unselfish service is admired and honored by those around him. Such a principle as servant leadership brings brotherhood through dedication, cheerfulness, and inspiration toward all men. Our founder, the prime example of such an ideal, once stated, "Infinity, dear brother, extends not only outward, but inward towards the heart of a human being." Dr. Goodman wanted all arrowmen to foster love for one another through cheerful service. There is nothing like the heart of a volunteer.
Oh, great spirit of my fathers, this is my prayer. Help me to feel thy urge and thy message. Help me to be just, even to those who hate me. And at all times, help me to be kind. If mine enemy is weak and faltering, help me to be the good thought and that I forgive him. If he surrender, move me to help him as a weak and needy brother. O great spirit of my fathers, help me to wholly void my heart of fear and help me to be a man. O God, show me the way of wisdom and give me strength to follow it without fear. O great spirit, this is my prayer. Grant that fear may never enter into my heart or be the guide of my feet. Make me sufficient to mine own occasions. Give to me my mind, my own business at all times, and to lose no good opportunity for holding my tongue. When it is appointed for me to suffer, Let me take example from the dear well-bred beasts, and go away in solitude to bear my suffering by myself. Help me to win, if win I may, but, and this especially, if it be not ordained that I may win, make me at least a good loser.
Since God has given us so much on this earth, it is only right that we devote a portion of our life to something greater than ourselves. It is our unselfish service that quenches the need to achieve a higher purpose. Because we trust in Him, God has put joy in our lives. Therefore, we have nothing to be angry about. It is important to remember that our spirit is guided by our Creator. God puts cheer in our hearts. This happiness is what guides our order on a daily basis.
Just as we value brotherhood in order, the Indian valued fellow man. So here's something I found in the newspaper the other day. Some years ago, the Canadian government made a ruling that no settler who lived in a small island would be allowed a homestead claim. The reason given was that no man who wished to live alone could, in the last analysis, be a good citizen. A good citizen needs near neighbors from himself, for his work and for his family. The Indian always found living in a village with his people.
Avarice, the root of evil, was unfound in tribes, partly because they had no money. Also because there was a strong established public sentiment against one man having too many resources. They didn't use any of the resources they didn't take. For example,
They didn't pick more berries than they needed, or they didn't kill more game than they needed to eat.
As scouts, we have been taught that cheerfully doing a good turn is the foundation of our organization. Doing a good turn daily is a part of every Boy Scout's life. We as Arrowmen do this good turn cheerfully, without thought, while expecting nothing in return. By doing this task cheerfully, the task passes faster, with better quality, and it's just a lot more fun. Smiles are contagious. When you smile at someone, it causes them to smile back, lifting their spirit even if they weren't down in the first place. But more importantly, personally, I just like being happy a lot more than being unhappy. Isn't that reason enough? You know, all men are free and equal and have the right to pursue their own happiness. Every man and woman who's in sickness or diversity or old age was supported and had the time to be with their tribe in the common good.
Let it be said that the red man, in full enjoyment of his freedom and religion, was brave, clean, reverent, unsordid, and religious, the soul of honor.
As the chieftain, I exhort you, spend the day in arduous labor, working gladly, not begrudging. Seek to serve, and thus be faithful to the high ideals and purpose of the Order of the Arrow.
When you arise in the morning, give thanks for the morning light. Give thanks for your food, and give thanks for your fellow man. And rest assured, if you have nothing to give thanks for, the fault lies within yourself.
Our order is firmly based in unselfish service, the continuous giving of oneself, which we can attribute to the spirit of Uncas, can be plainly seen in the arrow we all wear. My hope is that this very aspect of service, this love for one another, becomes wholly rooted in each of us and will show the true meaning of accomplishment and joy in our words and deeds. May that spirit, which drives each to cheerful service, glow brightly in our hearts. A true servant of his fellow man is someone who takes upon himself the burdens of others and those tasks left by others less willing. Therefore, my brothers, servant leadership is compassion rising from a personal need to fulfill the obligation of the Order of the Arrow, which we all have undertaken.
So tonight, beneath the heavens, sleep alone upon your ground sheet. Be you as steadfast as the pole star, self-reliant, undiscouraged.
To the Indian, courage is total self-control. He yields neither to fear nor desire, agony nor defeat. He is at all times master of himself.
Listen now to what Chief Oyesa, the author of The Soul of the Indian, says. Because the body is the soul made visible, we are all in this life creating the soul and body that will be ours in the next. By prayer and fasting and service, we can raise the quality of our being so that we have a completeness of vision. Hear the voices with knowledge of the great mystery. If he gives you his word that he will do a thing, you may safely stake all on his fulfillment of his promise.
Within the Order of the Arrow, we have many ideals. One of these ideals is servant leadership. This is an indefinable trait by words, but is easily defined by actions. We were all introduced to servant leadership by Mateu as he explained the legend of the Lenni Lenape during the ordeal ceremony. He explained how the Lenni Lenape dealt with enemies disturbing their hunting grounds and tribal peace. Uncas, the son of the great Chingachgook, took upon himself the great task of gathering his fellow man who were willing to spend themselves in the service of others. This example has guided us for years and will continue to do so as long as we are Arrowmen. Servant leadership is very strong within us, and the greater the presence of servant leadership, the stronger the Order of the Arrow becomes.
I'm sorry I had to kill thee, little brother, but I had need of thy meat. My children were hungry and crying for food. Forgive me, little brother. I will do honor to thy courage, thy strength, and thy beauty. See, I will hang thine horns on this tree. I will decorate them with red streamers. Each time I pass, I will remember thee and do honor to thy spirit. I'm sorry I had to kill thee. Forgive me, little brother.
Just as the Plains tribes would carry their coups into battle, I hope all of you are able to carry these thoughts with you as we depart and go our separate ways. The coup sticks and reflection times were something that most of you might not have expected, but I hope you all got something out of it. I know that during the clan gatherings, I was able to open up and share my thoughts and feelings with my brothers. I appreciated listening to their stories and was glad that they were there to listen to mine. Make the most of your time tonight. Even though you may never see these new friends again, take advantage of the technology of today and stay in touch with your fellow brothers. Continue to share stories, ask questions, and help one another to gain a fuller understanding of yourself and the Order.
Howdy. I mean, that Mountain Man rendezvous last night was cool. I had a good time. Did everyone here have a good time this week? All right, all right. How about we do it again in 2007? What do you say? One thing I want to mention, this week has been great, and there's been a lot of planning that's gone into the week, and like Rich said earlier, most of the planning has come from the program vice chiefs and their committees, as well as the lead advisors. And I would like to recognize one person who's put a lot of effort into this event, and that's Ron Bell, the lead advisor for the Indian Summer. There he is. You can't miss him right up here in the front. Also, Solly Lodge, the service lodge for this week, has been excellent, and they've helped us out. They've done everything we needed them to do and more. And their chief, their advisor, and their advisor's wife, who we haven't mentioned yet, Mrs. Little, has put in a lot of effort to this event, so we'd like to recognize them. If they're out there, stand up. Okay. Well, I think that's it for me. Now I have the privilege of introducing a close friend of mine to you, or reintroducing him. It's our National Vice Chief, Rich Moore. Now, Rich is going to give us a little keynote address, and he likes it when you stare at him. Okay? So here's Rich Moore, the National Vice Chief. June 6th, 1997 was a bright and sunny day. It was a Friday, but a Friday that would be like no other in my life. This Friday would become the start of a very long journey. It was the beginning of my ordeal. I wasn't sure what to expect when I jumped out of my mom's minivan, said goodbye, and headed towards the registration booth. I suppose that I thought it would be another boring weekend, where I had to come and listen to some scouter talk about leadership and how my leadership methods were wrong and I could be better. After all, this OA thing was an honor society. But all I cared about was that pretty white sash. I was told to take my pack to a building and bring only what I thought I needed for the night. At the age of 14, I brought all my gear without the pack. But luckily, there was an older airman there to assist me in taking only what I really did need: a sleeping bag and a tarp. I met another scout. He wore that blazing white sash. He told me that he would be my Alangamat, a friend for the weekend. But I wasn't listening to him. I couldn't get my eyes off of his sash. I just wanted to get on with the weekend and soon be able to wear that red arrow on my chest. It was dark now. we were all sitting in our campfire bowl, waiting for something, but we didn't know what. And there came a faint glow from the woods. 2 scouts in Native American costuming emerged from the thick brush, torches in hand. They gathered us up, led us on a path through the woods, where we met with 4 Indians. They each challenged us: sleep alone, don't talk, eat little, work hard. I wasn't really sure what it all meant, but I knew that it would be the start of something that was anything but ordinary for the Boy Scouts, and for me. I was led to a place where I laid out my tarpon bag, and I thought for a few minutes, what am I doing here? In the middle of the woods, lying out underneath these clouds, and not under a shelter or in a tent to get out of the rain. I toughed it out, though. I knew that someday it would be worth it. Friday soon ended, and Saturday started with a bag of cereal and an apple. Then we started to work, and we worked, and worked, and worked, not saying a single word, and working a little bit more. That guy who wore that sash and met me the other night, he was doing all of this too. Come to think of it, he slept out alone, and he was eating a little bit of food too. And now he was working just as hard as we were, if not harder. All of us worked together, moving cots, mattresses, and cutting back the brush, not talking with each other at all. It was so boring. But we all knew that the work, which we were doing, was going to help our fellow scouts prepare for the summer camp program, and we were happy to do it. It was time to stop work and get cleaned up, and I put on my scout uniform, moved outside to watch a dance team. They had this big old drum and really neat costumes. They danced and sang, danced and sang, danced, danced, and danced. I wanted to dance. This was really cool, and I had never seen anything like this before. The dancing stopped, and soon there were more Indians with torches, and again, we were led into the woods to a circle with a big fire. Standing around the fire were those 4 characters we saw the night before, and behind the characters hung those bright white sashes with the red arrows on them. But I didn't pay too much attention to them. I was too busy listening to what the characters had to say. They finished their ceremony, and behold, we all wore those sashes. We were brothers. And then the best thing happened. We made this huge circle around that blazing fire, and we sang. I didn't know the words to the song, but we sang it loud, and we sang it proud. That was when I knew that I had just become a part of something that would change my life forever in the best possible way. I was a member of the Order of the Arrow. That next morning came, and they explained to me how I could become more involved in our lodge. I took a blue sheet and a pen, and I circled ceremonies, dancing drum, and a langamat. I told you the story of my ordeal experience for one reason. Not to tell you that mine was perfect and that we should all try and be like my lodge. Because the truth is, it wasn't perfect. But it was very memorable for me. It is and remains one of the most memorable events in my scouting adventures. There were certain aspects that made my ordeal so special to me. First, it revolved around me, or at least that was the way I saw it at the age of 14. The ceremonialists and the torchbearers and all the people that worked backstage made an excellent showing. And they impressed me, and they interest me. I wanted to become a part of that part of the Order of the Arrow, and I wanted to be that good or better than they were. The dance and drum team were amazing in every aspect. Their sound, their appearance, their show. I wanted to learn how to do that. Everything I ever wanted to do in my lodge, I was able to do because of the excellent leadership in each of those areas. Still, to this day, in lodges across the country, young scouts like the one that I once was are still able to experience parts of a culture that may have at one time seemed lost, seemed forgotten. But it is not. It is very much alive in the spirits of Dr. Goodman and the Order of the Arrow. Brothers, this past week, we have all come together, all interested in one thing, learning about the Native American culture and having fun. I know that personally, I have learned quite a bit about this particular culture, and I have had a blast talking and meeting some of you, as well as developing a bond that I've only been able to develop in the Order of the Arrow: brotherhood. It is our common interests and our common loves that bind us together as brothers, not a sash. That blazing white sash, which we all bear on our chest, is merely a symbol of our bond and brotherhood. It is brothers like you that make the difference for our younger members in the Order. It is your knowledge, your patience, and your willingness to teach that makes young members want to become involved in this great and honored order. When you go home, take what you have learned. Take it home. Use it. Help others improve. Help others start to love and cherish this part of the program, which we have come to love and cherish ourselves. But most of all, show your lodge the true meaning of the Order of the Arrow. Show them brotherhood and cheerfulness in service.
Brotherhood, cheerfulness, and service. Not such a new idea after all.
You ever heard the phrase, observe and preserve the traditions of the Order? The 12 commandments of the Indians say, eat the feasts, learn the dances, respect the taboos, be a good member to your community, and profit by strength.
As the warrior draws the arrow most trustworthy from the quiver, you were drawn from many others, for the first shaft of the hunter must be straightest, must be surest. If through many moons unflinching you hold fast to scouting pledges, then straight and true you each will travel, as an arrow driven skyward, as an eagle soaring sunward. He who follows such a pathway of unwavering cheerful service will be seen by many others, and by inspiration lead them. He alone is worthy to wear the arrow, who will continue to serve his fellow man. I would admonish you, as all our brothers before you have been, as a reminder to fulfill your obligation and put into practice its meaning. We must seek to preserve the tradition of cheerful service given us by Uncas. Brothers, we challenge you. Strengthen the ties of brotherhood. Build upon the fire of cheerfulness. Ease the burdens from the shoulders of your fellow scouts.
Press any key. Where's the any key?
Wake me up inside. I can't wake
shuffle through the city on a 4th of July, had a firecracker waiting to blow, breaking like a rocker who was making his way to the cities of Mexico. The world won't wait, so I bet she that thing right out there through the door. Hell, I still love you, New York.
Having finished the work for which we gathered here this week, we are about to leave this, our meeting place. It is proper that before we go, we remind ourselves of the ties that bind us together. Let us all get the sign of the ordeal. Brother Nuteki, you perform the duty entrusted to your charge.
As guard of this lodge, it would be ever mindful of my duty to faithfully exemplify these points of the Scout Law, represented by these candles, which I now extinguish as we close our lodge. A Scout is cheerful. A Scout is thrifty. A Scout is brave. And a Scout is clean. And always to live that part of our Scout oath or promise which describes our duty to ourselves. To keep ourselves physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight. May this be our steadfast purpose, that although we snuff out these candles, as we leave our circle, the virtues which they represent may glow brighter in our hearts and consciences.
Brother Kitchener, will you attend to your part in the ceremony?
As guide of this lodge, I will be ever mindful of my duty, faithfully to exemplify the points of the Scout Law, represented by these candles, which I now extinguish as we close our lodge. A Scout is helpful. A Scout is friendly. A Scout is courteous. A Scout is kind. And to always remember that part of the Scout oath or promise which teaches us to help other people at all times. May it be our steadfast purpose that although we snuff out these candles as we leave our circle, the virtues which they represent may glow the brighter in our hearts and consciences.
How solemn is the duty of the mighty chief to show forth the greatest of a Scout's obligations. To do our duty to God and country. To be ever trustworthy, loyal, obedient, and reverent. And may it be our steadfast purpose that although we extinguish these candles, the virtues that they represent may glow the brighter in our hearts and consciences. Brother Mateyu will once again remind us of our solemn resolution that should guide us as we depart from this gathering of our lodge.
We who bear the obligation of the Order of the Arrow, now in silent meditation, mindful of our high tradition, ponder that which is our purpose, pledge ourselves to cheerful service, and with guidance from our Maker, we, with hearts and wills united, pledge to serve His holy purpose. This, our reason and intent, marked with silence, reverent.
Indian summer, a period of warm weather in late autumn. Indian summer, a period when the fields glean for that last bit of harvest. This Indian summer is not for the gathering of food, but is for the gathering of experience and excitement. It is our job to either use this experience for you or your lodges, or to allow them to wait away in storage until they waste away. The challenge for each of us is to use this information to glean and to grow, to teach and to pass on, so that it will bear fruit come spring.
The spark is there, already glowing. Fan it now, till it is a fire.
Let us now join hands and sing the song of our order.